Hello? Can anyone hear me? Oh, that's like lovely. That's exactly how I wanted to introduce myself with a call. Hello, hello. Oh, I'm like fully showing myself. Okay, that's great. Oh, it's VS Code. I got a notification. Hello. Wow, we have some very dedicated viewers. Hello to all of you again. Good to see you. Um, since you're here, I'm obligated to give an update. I have worked on the Wi-Fi a little bit. Jason, get out. Genuinely, Jason, get out. Jason, get out. To give some context, that's my roommate, and I told him not to join, and he pinky promised because this is embarrassing. Because he's literally like 15 feet away from me. But Jason, you just wait till the stream is over. I know I'm gonna unlock your door. Okay, so bit of a weird start, but the good news to keep the people that have been here before is I have all of my HTML slides ready to go. I have all of my VS codes, the stuff that I wanted working. And although we're not doing a specific like coding language stream, the thing that we're gonna cover and like the things that we're gonna talk about are really important in the sense that GitHub is a part of everything when it comes to coding. And if you get an internship, a full-time job, you're trying to work with some friends at a hackathon, anything like that, you're gonna need GitHub. And like I've used GitHub multiple times with Jason, the guy that said this is so peak. He said that on YouTube. I'll fit him right here. I don't know if he's still here, but I hope he leaves. But you know what? You can say it's fine. But pretty much we're gonna be going over that. So I'm gonna give a little bit of like my perspective first and yap a little bit for the beginning of this to fill out my time because for these 2 hours, I don't might not have such a structure as I usually do with the other ones because there is so much that you can do and like so many edge cases that you have to worry about. Not really worry about, but like it's possible that it's hard to go over every single one and explain it. But also, why am I not like taking up the whole screen? Usually I was. Why am I like not like I'm in a bubble? Because usually I'm like all the whole screen, you know? Can I do that? Nope. Oh, I'm down here now. No, I'm just one. I guess that's it. That's fine with me. Okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about some high level stuff. So we have Git and GitHub. They're not the same thing. GitHub is a platform that is managed and maintained by the GitHub company, and Git is a universal open source language. Well, I don't think they're really open source since you can't really mess with it like that, but it is a language that you can use to pretty much work with other people and handle version control. And that version control is crucial in anything code with having like let's say you break something, you want to go back to a version that worked, or you want to merge everybody's code together, or you want to go ahead and save your code without pushing it to a repository. Things like this can all be done through Git. And there's a couple of other options, but I don't know them because they're not as good and they're not standardized. Everybody uses Git for a reason. And of course, with that is GitHub. It's in the name of how it's going to work and how they're going to be utilized together. And if there's any questions right now, like initially, before I go over anything, please feel free to ask them. Ask me as many questions as you need. And my goal is going to be to hopefully teach you at least one topic or go over the things that you can do with it. But if you ever want to go into anything coding or working on a team or anything software related in the industry or just having fun, you're gonna need it. You're gonna need to know GitHub. And to give some more fun facts, I completely forgot to introduce myself. My name is Iro. Well, it's here. That's my introduction. But my name is Iro Escobar, and I work for Major League Hacking. And as a part timer, I go to university in the UT Dallas in Texas. If there's any Texas people here, except Jason, he doesn't count. But I am studying computer science, and another major fun fact is I'm studying. I'm in the program to be a GitHub campus expert. I was selected out of like 3,000 applicants, and That's not to brag or say anything like that, but just that I'm genuinely like GitHub is an amazing platform, and the job that I'm gonna have as I mean I am a college student is to keep doing things like this, going out and talking about it, offering resources, being able to be that platform or person where if you have a question about it, I'm able to answer and help you in any way that I can. And the reason I really wanted to be one and I got in the program initially is because since I'm a coach, I'm able to go to a lot of events for Major League Hacking or by myself, not through it and become as a competitor. And I'm still able to help and teach these things. And the campus expert training can help me to make sure that if there is a resource out there that can help somebody, I have the knowledge to provide that. As well as to get through all my points, I have my tissue box, which is almost empty. And then I have my full water bottle again of water ready to go. So, yeah, I've given enough of a yap session. And let's go ahead and figure out how to get these slides going. Remove myself for a second there. Let me cover myself and then go over here. And now I'm going to add this to stage. All right, my first slide. I should be able to easily transfer. Okay, sweet. So we're gonna have Git and GitHub Mastery, right? Master version control for modern development. And while I'm on this slide, I definitely want to include talking about how when working with version control, you can do it with anything. Whether you're working on a Golang project, Java, Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, I can keep going. Any language, you can combine these. You can have a front end, a back end, you can have middleware, cloud infrastructure, so many things where all of it has to go through GitHub in the sense that whether you're a team of two people by yourself, it's still useful to make sure you have that version control to go back to, or on a team of 300 engineers. You're using repositories, you're maintaining your code on GitHub, and you're utilizing their resources because it just makes your life a lot easier. Why would you reinvent the wheel? You know what I mean? So it's our basic slide. So let's go ahead and go and explain a little bit about that version control perspective. Excuse me. And here we have chaos where people were sending files to each other. Imagine having like you're on a hackathon team, right? And you're all trying to work together and submit a project, and you're not all going to work on the same thing. So you're separating your files, and then you have to zip them to each other, sending emails, just constant emails to each other of these zip files, and constantly like updating and doing that, having a backup, and then having final really like this is just looks very tedious and annoying, right? And then with this, it may not look as like clean as you think with these, but these are memory addresses, and it makes it so much easier. And even in the sense you won't really have to even worry about these if you're doing everything that you want to do correctly. And I'll explain what that means a little bit later, but pretty much the high level explanation right now is that when you have memory addresses like this, going back to the version control and handling all of that, these are going to be a commit and something connected to it. And then this is going to be the message for it of like what you're doing. So if you ever make a mistake, then you look at these and go to the description of them. So you know, like, okay, we were on adding the user profile, and then once we updated the homepage, literally the entire website destroyed. Okay, so let's just go back to this version. Excuse me. And then every change tracked, documented, and reversible. That makes it way easier, especially when you're working on a team. And then again, there'll be more explanation later. I'll take maybe like 10 minutes to just explain like proper use of GitHub and Git when working on a hackathon team because we are Major League Hacking. Our goal is to empower hackers, and all of y'all are hackers for being here. You're part of the hacker community, especially joining our Discord and such. And oh my goodness, I'm forgetting all of my basic steps. One more thing. If y'all would please be so kind to go ahead and go here and fill this out. It's going to be to the event that I'm specifically running right now. And if you could please go ahead and fill out information on it. I am attaching them on both YouTube and Twitch. I've sent it in the chat. It would really help me out just in terms of logistics and seeing that I'm running the event, as well as for y'all. I believe there might be a feedback version or something in there that could help, but don't quote me. I know there's a feedback form somewhere. I just don't have it on me. But that you're able to go through this. Also, I believe y'all are getting points too for this. Like, there's like a points thing. So hopefully, Raven, Cosmos, Press, y'all gonna get some good points with everything that y'all have. And I hope y'all are doing well. It's good to see you again. Okay, so what slide were we on? We were on this one, but we understood it. And if anyone ever needs that link throughout to be able to sign in, please do let me know. I can just resend it to you in like half a second. So now let's move on to this part. So the thing that I was talking about where Git and GitHub are not the same. We're gonna have Git being version control software. It works on your computer. It's something that you can have on Homebrew if you have a MacBook. If not, you can do like a Windows downloader for like ARM 60. I think it's ARM 64, something like that. I don't remember, but it's one of those. I used to use the MacBook one. I might actually be ARM. Oops. It depends on the chip. Okay, I'm going in a completely different topic. But this is the things that you can do with Git. And I'm gonna slow down a bit because my nose is getting clogged. So we're gonna make sure that we take care of ourselves and as well as each other because I want to make sure I'm able to go through this topic comfortably. So then another couple things it can do is create commit history, which was those addresses that we looked at. And we go over here and we see this. You're the addresses to be able to do that. And then manage branches. So branches is a whole different thing. I'll go on over that real quick on a high level explanation, but pretty much sorry, I just saw Cousins. What do you mean not sure where the point is? Oh, where the points are? I believe it tracks it based off of your account and for the week. Like the ones that you watch and do all of that, it should be able to do that. Also, thank you so much, Raven. Great job. Like they have a whole thing that does it on the back, and then they like send an update out based off of what you have. Yeah, 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 exactly. We have a guy named Sitar. He's in charge of it. Amazing guy. Super, super amazing. So then giving that high explanation of branches, that's specifically going to be where if you think about it like an actual tree, right? Oh yeah, of course, Cosmos. If you think about it like an actual tree, you're gonna have your main bark, like the main oak tree, right? And that's gonna be your main code that's being pushed to production, and everyone's able to see that. Everyone's able to see that on your website. When you branch out, those are gonna be the ones that are like the arms out, like going. I'll even remove this. I will. Let me add myself again, and I'm literally gonna use myself as an example. Okay, so like, okay, let's just say my arms are out, right? And like these are my tree arms, and I'm the production code, like going up like this. So if I'm the code, right, and there's software developers working on this team, and they need to add a feature without changing production yet, because they need to make sure it works, there's going to be separate branches where you could have the same exact code, but you're adding to it, manipulating, doing whatever you want without messing with production. So if I have one arm, right, and we're going to call this the dev branch, and development branch is going to be where you can check where it's simulating production without being in production. So this is going to be pretty much the before step, the pre-step to production. So if everything looks good in dev, then we push it to main or master. Depends on what you're using or whatever you want to call it. But it's either one, either or for one of the names. And then we have another branch. And this can be called whatever you're working on, like a feature. And I only have two arms, but let's say I had 1,000 arms. You can have that many branches. You have so many branches. And with that, if we have our other branch, which let's say we are on Apple's website, right? Where the example of me being the tree is I'm Apple's website, and there's a development branch that goes before. And now this branch is going to be adding the iPhone 18. So then this is all production on just that. And when I say production, I mean just working on it. So working on that and doing that, you have completely separate code that's able to run on itself as its own, not repository, but its own branch. And then if it's called that, I'm able to switch between if you have the permissions and such, I can switch from this branch to the production code to the dev branch to any other branch that's out there. As long as you have access to it, you're able to use it and you're able to work on specifically that branch. And the thing that happens there is that you're going to have different versions for each branch. And what you can do is you can pull from other branches. You can pull from the dev branch. You can pull from the main production. And you can have your code be a certain version for a branch to see what it looks like, how it works, what specifically you want to add to it, just to be able to isolate specific features or variables that you want to work on. And that's fantastic. Like, if this brings me to my point where I said I was going to spend 10 minutes later talking about it, but there is a beauty in being able to do proper branching in a hackathon. And if you're able to do it properly, you'll never have a merge conflict. I've helped a lot of people, and when a lot of people with merge conflicts, which is one of the bitter things in code. It's very annoying to deal with, and it can get very, very tedious. But we'll go ahead and bring this back. And then, excuse me for a moment. I'm gonna do it. All right, I'm back. Thank you for the patience. And oh, you didn't make sure. Yeah, y'all can hear me. So with that, we're gonna be on this side where we're finally talking about the actual GitHub and what's happening. And for the platform, it's a cloud hosting service. So you're able to host cloud repositories. And what that means is a repository that your teammates can access. Because if you have a local one, they can't access it. Because you can run Git locally to do version control for like a personal project. But having a cloud repository makes it so much easier to work with other people. And then yeah, it's able to store different Git repositories, check your commit history, your how many commits you do a week, something like that. There's those collaboration features, which is fantastic since when you're coding, another big thing, when you're a software engineer or you're working with a team, they build vice versa. You're never going to be a software engineer just coding by yourself, unless you're like a startup building a B2B SaaS like all by yourself. But who would do that? That's not logical anymore. You have other things for that. And then you can also do product management through it, creating like Jira boards and being able to handle different tasks and splitting it up. The goal is to make it as easy as possible to be able to just focus on what your job is, which would be actually coding. So going a little bit on the history of it, wow, this was made a year before I was born. I did not know that. But Git is born, created by Linus Torvalds. I like his Linus, it's almost like Linux, to manage Linux kernel development after BitKeeper licensing issues. So we see that Git is born, so there was something before it, BitKeeper. But clearly, since it's not being used, and we don't really teach this, as y'all know, I remember there was a GitHub. I'm even gonna go check right now. There was a excuse me. I am introducing GitHub, and then in about 6 hours, there's going to be a Get Good with Git, which was Cecilia. Also a fantastic person. She's the one that helped me learn how to stream and be able to set this up. She did my first stream with me last year, and it was fantastic. Highly recommend checking out her stream if you want a deeper dive into Git. But hopefully, I'll be able to cover everything and be able to see if I can teach it in this moment. But as we look over here, we see that GitHub launches in 2008, and it's going to be by these fantastic people who I don't know, but they made it to make collaboration easier, and they had a fantastic idea. They're making bank now if they're still alive. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. That also wasn't meant for disrespect. Gotta check my holes. So gotta make sure I don't get in trouble for anything. All right. Why Git matters, right? Why we're looking at this. Collaboration. When you're a software developer or working at a hackathon or anything like that, you have to work with other people. It's inevitable. You can't do everything by yourself. And if you're on a team by yourself, you will lose to a 4-person team if they know how to use Git, because they'll just be able to get code out that much faster. As well as backup and safety. This is useful for a solo developer as well, where you're able to have the backup versions of like working versions and keep progressing with it. Even on a team as well, it's super useful. And then again, I'll stop right here just to say any questions or anything you want me to elaborate a little more on, like you want an example for it or something like that, please stop me. I would love to answer some questions. It would help us get through the time. And instead of just having me monologuing, well, I think I'll be monologuing the whole time, but I love when y'all do comments and stuff. It makes me happy. To that one person that said I was talking about history too much. I'm like, history is important, please. Okay, history tracking. Yeah, see? History is important. Emphasized. You gotta remember this. So then with this, we can complete audit trails of all changes. We can see what's changed, when, why, and whom. So the reason this is like a lot right here, and I'll give a little example on it, is if something breaks, you want to know who did it. This is like my favorite thing. Like, I'm really emphasizing this. Like, I have had moments where like something breaks and I'm on a team, and I will literally like go back and look at the history and be like, the last person that pushed was you and it broke, so I'm gonna need you to fix it. And I won't say who you is, but I have a lot of friends that can be that, where it's just really funny. And it's been me as well, a lot of times. But the goal is to get to a working version so you can present. I'm going to be referencing hackathons a lot since it's used so much there. Oh, excuse me. Okay, branching power. That thing I was saying where you can experiment freely without breaking production. Exactly. That's the point that I made, where you're able to go ahead and work on it without breaking the version that you want to keep, like if it was Apple, to keep making you money. Because if you break production, they're losing thousands of dollars by the second because people are constantly buying phones or tablets or iPads on there. So if the website's not working, they're not going to place an order. And then if we look over here, over 90% of software companies use. And I even guess that the other 10% is just like a solo founder that somehow counts as a software company. But if you're not using Git, you're not winning. You're not, it just won't work. So then we're going to go ahead and go to the next slide. And then another thing I'll say is that once I get through these slides, the next part of the presentation is going to be just me on VS Code showing like readmes, like markdown files, and just going over it. Most of them should have like the actual code and what it would look like. So I'm avoiding like doing coding in real time just so we can be safe. So because y'all know how live demos be, it likes to break. Hi, Dominosaurs. All right. I'll answer this real quick. So honestly woke up feeling worse, but we prevail. We keep. I went to Target and I got some more medicine. And like I'm in New York right now for my internship, so everything's such a walk. And it was like a 25-minute walk. But I got Target and I got me some honey and stuff. I made some tea earlier, but I should probably make some more tea after this. I'll do it after. Thank you for reminding me. And oh, thank you so much, Cousins. I appreciate that. I'm gonna do my best, and hopefully, the next time I stream, which will probably be next month, I'll be able to. I'll sound completely different. You're gonna hear me, and I'll have like a really high pitched voice, and you'll be like, who is this? Like, this guy sounds weird. Like, get him out of here. Bring the other guy back. But we prevailed. But don't worry, I appreciate y'all. And like, if I really couldn't like stream, then I would have to sadly be like, hey, like canceling on the Discord. But nope, we're gonna be here. We only got about an hour and a half already. Godspeed to you as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all being here. And with this, I'll continue on. What side are we on? I always forget. I get very sidetracked. Y'all gonna learn this about me as I stream. But here we are. We're gonna see a Minecraft. Sorry guys, I was playing that before. A Microsoft acquisition in 2018. $7.5 billion. That's a lot of money. And then look how many developers are on here. This is us, y'all. We are part of this number. We're a percentage. And then how many repositories there are compared to each one. This is like, each one has like, so each developer has 42 repositories on average. There's probably one that has like thousands, but with that, see that's the open source hub. You can have open source on there, and you can work on it. We could find open source and things like that easily on there. Thank you. I almost said you too. Thank you, Prest. I appreciate that. I'll do my best. I got work tomorrow at 6 a.m. So I'm a little nervous. It's not. I don't have to be there at 6 a.m. But the early bird gets the worm. So we're gonna make sure that we're there. We're there. So with that, I'll bring us to our next slide. Career benefits, right? Git are skills listed in 80% of software developer jobs. And since we're here as a hacker community, and a lot of y'all, if not everybody, wants to be a software engineer, developer, this is very important. Even if electrical engineering, mechanical, if you ever have to code, you have to know these two things. And then you can also show your portfolio. I'm showing your live resume. And I can even show this right now. I'll show like, let me go ahead and bring myself up real quick to give some emphasis on this. So here I am. You see me. That's me with a lot more hair than I do have now. And my commit history is bad because I go on repositories and thing. But this is my old one. It's how much I did till present now. I haven't been coding much specifically on GitHub, but I'm on private repositories and I don't let it track exactly what I'm doing because you'll be able to look at it since it's gonna be some sensitive information. But that's just me protecting myself from being like, oh, he doesn't code. I'm like, no, trust me, guys. If I didn't have to code, no, that's not true. If I like coding. And then this is just something that I worked on. It is a README, and it has my name. This is a feature that's a part of all of GitHub. I just wanted to show this because you're able to display yourself like this because let's just give an example. So if I was a recruiter, right, and I know that GitHub is an essential skill, and I click on me and I see with an animated thing and going over, and I'm clearly emphasizing like where you can connect, languages that I use, stuff that I'm working on, and then like just things about me, what I want to do, and like everything that I want to learn, things that I've done for leadership, GitHub stats as well as just a little fun thing. I'm able to hit pretty much all of the like major bullet points of trying to be a good candidate. And this is something that any of y'all can do if you want to. Like, go to my thing and like you can completely copy and paste this, and you can steal it. A little side note: I stole it, so I did not originally make this. This is like in Ubuntu or something. I don't code with that. But look at this. You see how some of the stuff is actually messed up, so I'll fix that later. But look over here. This is a GitHub README organization that I'm a part of. Don't look at that one. That's the start where I work it with friends. And then we have some campus experts. I'm a Hack UTD officer, and I'm also part of Major League Hacking. So with these, we're able to see that you can really build a career out of this with having all of this information on there and ready to be displayed. And this could be also connecting. If I were to continue on my personal website and actually get it deployed, I can have it on there. And since I am talking about GitHub, I have like a lot of like I'm gonna be teaching Git in VS Code just because you can't really use GitHub without Git. But there's a lot of stuff here, right? We got repositories. I won't click on this, but this is where you can manage it. And there is a lot of features here. And they're a very good platform in the sense that they have so much stuff that you can go over. And then they have GitHub Copilot. I highly recommend it. To give some emphasis to anyone that's been watching all of the streams that I've been working on, I have used Copilot for every single one to help generate them for me. And I don't say that in the sense that I let it do all my work. I just do some prompt engineering, some context protocol stuff, and I'm able to generate the slide that I want depending on what information I know and I want to give. And I think that's beautiful in the sense that yes, I'm leveraging AI, but this is a tool that was created by GitHub, and it's something that has agentic coding where you're able to give it the context of your project. I just wanted to take some time to shout it out since you're able to get it with the GitHub Student Developer Pack. And I'm going to take some time to pull that up as I type this in because it's part of GitHub. We're giving an intro to GitHub, right? So we also want to give some resources. So looking at this, I can sign in. I have all of the resources, but you have an intro to Copilot, which another workshop in itself, but see how it offers all this stuff and understanding Markdown, which you'll see I worked on Markdown. Like I have everything in Markdown for VS Code, which we'll get to later. And then we have intro to GitHub. So you're able to learn everything. And then like it just has so much stuff to teach. And then if y'all were here for the last stream, I was talking about Scrimba, which is a great platform for picking up anything coding. And if you look over here, this is a Launchpad Intro to JavaScript, which offers you 1 free month of Scrimba. And you don't have to just learn JavaScript. You can pick up like other things in it. You get a free month of Scrimba, so you're able to use it. As well as these offers, we're able to enjoy $200 in platform credit for 1 year in DigitalOcean, which is something you can use to host your website. You can get a cheap domain name for hosting and management. I look at where I am in terms of how many resources there are here and how many things they provide. And this is through GitHub. It's mainly in GitHub's name, but these are people that partner with them and work with them. And if you have a college email, you should be able to get this. If you can't get it, unfortunately, you do need a college email, so I'm sorry if you can't get it. Hey, Adam, good to see you again. I see you're awake. I believe it's much more later for you. I think we have like a 6-hour time difference. What time is it? I know you're not in London, but right now you are. Yeah, I knew it. You were 5 hours ahead of me. Oh my goodness, he is awake. So with that, I wanted to just show this. Oh yeah, exactly. Adam is here to advocate as well. If you have any questions, Adam is a GitHub campus expert. I am still under training, so I'm not completely a campus expert yet, but he has been one for a while. I met him at a HackCon event, and he was a fantastic guy to talk to. Very, very lovely. He really shows how amazing the program is. And if y'all have any questions on that, hit him up. He's fantastic for all that. And I'm sorry, Adam, putting the work onto you now. But we'll go ahead and go back to this README. Also, whoever shouted me out, who said that? Pressed, thank you. I appreciate that. And like this was not a lot of effort. Like these are all like links that you can find online. And honestly, now you can probably just ask AI to just bring you and do all of this for you. But it looks pretty clean, right? Like we got Supabase, things that I work with, things that I've handled. I really need to update this. Not to like shout myself out, but I have more than this. I can do more than this. So I'll update that later though. I guess you're just gonna have to follow me. Follow me here. That's my GitHub thing. Oh, this one. Excuse me. It's my name pretty much. All right. Moving on. Let's go back to the actual stuff. But actually, let's go ahead and go. Okay, I'm on this slide right now. Let's go ahead and go home. And then let's see. See, what am I allowed to show here? Okay, so I have some people I've added. You're able to see work here that's happening through people that you follow. I only have like I'm only following like 7 people though. But these are different things that I've worked on. And this is working on the hackathon website for things, personal website, which I haven't done, a Discord bot that I wanted to just code for fun in Python, interview lens, my startup, and then this is for Code for Good. This is from JP Morgan, and if you're a U.S. citizen, I believe you're going to participate in this. It's typically for juniors. Highly recommend it to get JP Morgan. That's what I have right now. I was fortunate enough to do well with Team 18, and most of us, if not all of us, got a offer to be able to become a intern. So I'm going there in the summer. So I start in June, just to give some more information. And I'll say that let me put myself up here. I'm here giving the intro for it, but my goal here is also to give the strength of it. Oh, thank you so much, Nana. I appreciate that. Is the whole thing Nana Wana? Okay, the O's and A's were tripping me out, but with it, I'm not gonna out my friends or the people. They're love. Everybody on my team was lovely. I enjoyed it so much, right? But we almost won, and like we were very close, right? And like even if we didn't win, that's totally fine, right? We had a lot of fun. We all got the offers. That was the goal of it. But the reason we were so close is because we had zero merge conflicts. Okay, so actually I'll take this time. This is the perfect time to talk about it. Let me get comfortable in my seat. Oh, okay, so we did very well. We had a great project. It was a gaming thing. It was just gamifying it was for nonprofits. It was very fun. And the reason we were able to do so well is because on our team of 6 people, it was a 6-person team, usually hackathon is 4. A lot of them didn't know how to use Git, right? And they're starting out. We're all software developers. We have different strengths, like some are really good at Python or JavaScript or a front-end language, something like that. But they didn't know Git because a lot of them have only worked by themselves. And that was a really hard thing. But fortunate enough for me, since I was a MLA coach and I've worked with a lot of people, I've done a lot of hackathons before, I knew a lot of Git. So, all right, bit of a cough attack, but we're okay. So I know a lot of Git, and that pretty much set up the scenario where anytime there was a time to merge something, a time to commit it, a time to branch out, I did all of it. And that's not to like brag or to say that like it was all me. No, it was them working very hard and like doing those things like that. And I taught them like how to be able to do it on themselves because it's a very simple process. I can teach it as well here. There's like 3 main steps that you have to focus on when working with Git. And the hardest part is just getting started. And once you start typing it, you're gonna start hating Git. Now, hate is a strong word. You're not gonna like it as much because it's a three same basic steps where you do git add to add all the files that you want to push to the repository. You git commit -m and you just write a message. You pretty much slap a label on it of what exactly you did, right? So if we're going back to the Apple example, then that means we're going to go ahead and start talking about like, okay, add the iPhone 18 code to be able to display it on the website, something like that. And then git push to the branch that you're on. So if you're on the production branch, then you push to the production branch and your code, thankfully or hopefully everything works. There were 0 issues. Vercel likes it, and then it's all deployed and you're good. So those are the 3 very basic steps at a high level. There's multiple ways that it can go, like rebasing, handling merge conflicts, the version control of not having a proper commit history, and then if you're like head attaches, and these are just a bunch of buzzwords to say that something went wrong, and there's multiple ways to fix it. There's a lot of solutions everywhere, a lot of ways things can break. It's just the best way to learn Git and GitHub together is to get your hands dirty, to go ahead and put yourself in the actual coding environment. And you'll run into these situations. You go to hackathon. After my first hackathon, air is very dry. I'm gonna get a humidifier. But after my first hackathon, we were not able to present because my code was I was not able to get and do all that. So we had like 3 repositories and it just looked horrible. It was bad, right? 3 different computers. But I handled a merge conflict and I made that work. And then that was fun in the sense when I got it to work. It was not fun in the 2 hours it took me, but it's a bit of a time grind. But if you put your efforts in and you really like roll up your sleeves and start typing away, you figure it out. And then you do it once, you can do it again. Repetition, I always say repetition is the best way to learn. So being able to repeat yourself and do all that is fantastic. And that's what got me to the point where I was able to literally lead the team in the sense of handling all of the merging and doing all that. And then setting them up in a format where we were merging every 2 hours, merging our code into one branch, which is our dev branch. And then we were just branching out from that branch again and deleting the ones that we already merged. And we continually did that every 2 hours for the hackathon until it was time to present. We had one laptop and we had a full working version of what we wanted to present. It was fantastic. It worked exactly as we wanted. And that's just to really show like if you do proper practice and you teach them the right steps and you make sure y'all aren't working on the same file or messing up assets, it's fantastic. It's a great platform. It's when like you're actually able to do the coding that you want to do. Excuse me. Take a little more water. Okay. Now that was a whole lot of yap to just emphasize how great of a platform it is. So we'll go ahead and bring back, let me bring this back. And then now here we are. And we are on, where's my Git page go? We're on this one, right? We're on the dashboard. There's a lot of things here. This is just the general format. You can make a new repository if I click on this. You can choose an owner. You can call it whatever you prefer to like to call it, and then describe it however you want. And there's just a lot of things here, right? So you can make it a private repo. And then to see things like this, I usually work on a lot of private repos. And these are typically going to be for like, if you're working for a startup, a company, anywhere where you don't want people to just be able to go and find your code and use it, you would pick private. But public means anyone can see it. Typically, like anyone has access to it. I could steal, not theoretically steal, but I could use your code, especially if it's open source. And then you can start with the template, right? Template. There's things that you can make. You can make a template of how you want it to start and like a setup, but typically I don't add a template, right? I work with all that. And then these, I always add a README. You want to make sure that when you add a project, you are emphasizing that README. And I'll go back to my repository just to show like what this is again. And let me just make sure there's no question or anything. Okay, great. So continuing that, I really don't want to jinx myself, but have I been sounding robotic or anything like that? Can I get any confirmations? I feel like for my last stream, as everybody does know, I kept cutting out and like I already set the router. So far, so good, right? 0 issues. Let's jinx myself. No, it's bad. No, you don't. Fantastic. Yeah, the robotic part. Okay, great. That means that we're going so smooth. This is fantastic. Okay, great. We're almost like we're 40 minutes in and 0. I'm so happy, y'all. I'm so happy. But looking here, we have this add README, right? And looking at this, you can choose to add the README. I'm always going to say yes, added. I'll give that example. And then a .gitignore. So let's break this down and explain what that is. So again, I'd rather just put myself on here and give y'all a like visual explanation and doing things like that. Okay, so you have your repository and you have things that you're coding on, things you're doing that. And you're using Git for that version control to be able to push things on the repository for other people to use, right? If there's a lot of different ways that this can go, there's a lot of different examples, but the main one I'm going to give is the security one of a .env. So what does that stand for? It's environment variables. And a .env is what you use to host your API keys. Things that if I have a AWS API key that I'm using to call a cloud database, right? that costs money. That's not free. And you usually when you want to have one of those, you have to have a card connected to it. So the more that you use, you get charged for it. It depends on like if you're using it, if you're a huge company, you're getting charged, right? So if somebody has your API key, right? Theoretically, if I had your API key and you had AWS one, and I could run that thing up, I could get you to be charged thousands of dollars, right? I know how to do this. You just overload it and you constantly call it and things like that. And you don't want that to happen. You don't want to get charged thousands of dollars, right? So the important thing is making sure that you have security and you're hiding that API key. So how do you hide it? Dot get ignore. That's like the main way to do it. So with that, this brings me to another huge thing, but okay, I'm like processing a lot, like in my head as I'm saying it. So when I get to I'll tell y'all when I get to this section, but when I do, understand, don't be afraid. Okay, don't get scared when I get there. But as we were talking, what are we talking about? I have so much I want to talk about. Okay, we were talking about get ignore. Perfect. Okay, so with get ignore, you can put in specific files that you don't want to get seen. You always want to hide your .env, your environment variables, because you don't want people to have access to that. And you can share your API key with like other developers you're working with. But again, they all need to have that .get ignore and ensure that in the .get ignore, you're defining that you never push that API key or the .env into the repository. So with that, the typical practice would be that you would have a .env example, and that's the only one you would allow, where you would show the API keys you're using. Like you would do like, okay, if I have Gemini underscore API equals, and then normally there would be the address of the key. You're just not going to have that. You're going to keep it empty. So people know what keys that they need if they want to work on this project. That's, you would push that. You push that. But that dot example is important. Instead, if the ones that you don't want to push, you would define that, right? So you would have dot local, you would have dot production, things like that, where you're using different API keys depending on the situation. And local, you don't want to get pushed because that's your personal keys. Production, you do not want production to get pushed. It'll get overloaded, right? So now we're going to get to the major part, which is if you're ever in a situation where this is like very far future, right? I'm assuming far future for everybody since you're at an intro for it. But there's a lot, it's going to happen one day. And when it does, don't be afraid. We're at the section now where you're going to push your API keys one day. It's inevitable. Everybody does it. And the second you do, you're going to have to go ahead and go to the GitHub repository. You're going to have to delete the commit. You're going to have to like do that version control for that to get rid of it. It's pretty difficult to do locally or cloud. And since it's a cloud version, it doesn't matter if you delete it there, it still exists. There's still a way to get to those keys. And if you're on, let's say, a big project, and that's a really important key, you'd have to contact GitHub to get rid of that. And that's the thing you'd have to do. But if you want to be safe and you'll say you're like working a hackathon and you actually push the API keys, the thing is you delete the commit history and then you delete the API key and you just make another one because you're not working on something that's like that API key is like the special one that does all of this and handles all of that. You just got to make sure that that doesn't happen, right? So the good thing is practicing the fundamentals and making sure that you're starting with the right practices. So making sure that y'all really emphasize it into your head. Dot get ignore, dot env, don't push your API keys. That's a bar. I like that. So moving on. Oh my gosh, almost out of water, y'all. That making me thirsty. All this yapping I'm doing. Okay, what are we on? New repository, right? So I already talked about the dot get ignore, and then licenses are just defining of what you want to be able to be done with this. So let's say that I have something that's done like research to help people and it's on a repository. I believe the MIT license would be like, yes, you can use this for like the public good and things, but you can't use it for monetary gain, something like that. And a lot of examples for that. And there's a lot of different licenses depending on what you need or what you want to use. Definitely one of these is for open source, but normally I just put MIT. You don't really have to worry about it too much unless you're like working on a startup or like you're going for something big and you're building in public, something like that. Like this would be important if you're building in public, as some startup people like to do. You know, someone else would just take all your code and then like start their own thing, right? That would be very annoying. So with that, that's going to be that specific part, and then you could create a repository depending on the name, and then like depending on like what you type, like when I type in IRO, like they'll be like this is taken or something, right? Oh, it's not taken. I guess because I need to choose an owner. Me, if I go like IRO, it'll be available because my name. I've never made this before, but if I go ahead and go to like IRO Escobar, not available, right? So they have very good safeties for things like that and handling that. Then going back one more time, we were talking about the README, right? And where is it? Profile. So this is my README again, one more time, just really quickly to emphasize that this is a README. This is where you're defining, you're using like syntax, like Markdown pretty much to be able to emphasize. And if y'all were here for the HTML and CSS, this is like an H1 tag where you're making a little bit bigger, and then this is regular A or P text where you're just making it very basic. And these are specific assets that I'm using when looking at these. And with this is just to show that I named a repository after my GitHub name, and that's what allows it to look like this. And they have code on the back end that allows that to happen. It's a GitHub feature, something that you can use. And that's a great thing. So let me see what slides I was on, as I need to make sure that I was going to do that. While I'm fixing this, I'm just going to blow my nose real quick. One moment. All right, I'm back. Thank you for the patience. And I completely forgot to change the slides. So, all right, we talked about benefits already and how 95% of check recruit. This is not true, but people do check it. So let's, even if this was 1%, wouldn't that be useful? And but it's definitely more than that. It's not this, but it's big. 2 times caliber rate with an active, exactly, with an active GitHub. If you're actively coding, a higher chance. This one I believe is true. And then these amazing things. Moving on to the next slide. I know we're doing a lot of slide y'alls, but with Git, this is even a point where I really want to emphasize that if you're not like getting down and dirty and working on it yourself, you're not going to be able to learn it. As most of the time, like while I'm talking to you, it's going to go in through one ear out the other. But if you're coding and you're actually working on it, it's going to retain in your mind because you'll immediately think of an example. Like if I mention a merge conflict, you should immediately like go back to thinking about that traumatic experience of like your first merge conflict and how it took you 2 hours to 4 hours to fix. And it was so much like so many issues and things like that. Everybody has to go through it. I know it's hard, but once you do it, you'll feel a lot better, right? And hopefully we can get that get good with Git. I hope if y'all go to that workshop later, then it'd be really funny. Be like, oh, I already went over all this. That'd be so funny. But hopefully I don't. I don't want to overstep my boundaries, but if you look over here, we see that there's other performance, other things that you can use. But if we look at market share, just this bullet point alone, they own 90% of like what's going on when it comes to coding repositories. These companies are dead, respectfully. Like Git is where it's at, right? I mean, GitHub is like it's talking about Git, not GitHub, but like even with that, like there's no reason that this is the best one, right? And then it's vast, distributed, since anyone can use it. Excellent branching methods, and then the entire industry has standardized on it. 100%. Any questions? Okay, no, we're good. Okay, so today's learning path is I've been talking about. Okay, I'm not following this like that, but we've talked about repositories, handling that, and I've showed y'all a little bit. Commit and history, I can definitely go more on that. Branching and merging. So branching, I talked about where we have a dev branch or a feature branch. That's the best way to name it, but you can even go as simple as if I have friends named Bob, Frank, and Jill, then we're working on hackathon. Each person will have their own branch. So I'll have an Ira branch, a Bob branch, a Frank branch, and a Jill branch. Look at me remembering these names. So, and then emphasizing that collaboration part. Okay. And just to show this, Git in is just to initialize the repository. You can do this on the cloud. It's much easier. As I showed y'all with creating it, I would recommend doing it like that, but it's also possible to do it locally. And then if you do it locally, then you have to do the extra step of connecting it to a cloud repository, but there's just a lot of effort for what? Why wouldn't you just do it on the cloud first? But either or, they'll both help you anyway. And then to break down what's happening here, this git add dot, the dot is just mean it just means all files. So like when doing an abstract, that also means like all files, but not in Git. It's just like the same logic where when you put a dot, every file that's been changed or any change that you've done, it's gonna add all of it onto a, let's call it a commit shelf. And then this commit shelf, let's call it like it's I'll slow down. I'll slow down here for a second. Let me bring myself back. One more y'all before I go to VS Code. But again, emphasizing those three basic steps. I'll even here. Let me. Okay, I'm here. Okay, y'all. Hopefully you can see both, and I can like show myself and everything. Git add dot. You're putting it on a commit shelf. So now I have a package of everything that I've done, and like I'm like, let's say it's already closed, right? It's already ready, and it's on that shelf ready to go. But it's a package. I have no idea what's in it, so we should probably define that. So then we're gonna do git commit and then dash m. That dash m stands for message. There's a bunch of other dashes you can do, but that's the main one you're probably gonna use. The main one you will use. And now they type in first commit. Usually I wouldn't do something like that. Like this is just to show it's the first commit, but you want to be very descriptive with your dash m. You want to make sure that you're like, I did this, so like I did this, completed this. This is what this merge is. So if somebody ever looks at the commit history and an address, they know what is working at that point, something like that. So we're gonna say that we fix a feature, something like that, and then we slap that label on. That's what that commit message is. So now we have a box. We're the postal mail service. We're the postal mail service. We have a box now. We have a label slapped onto it, but we need it to go somewhere, right? We know what it does. We know it needs to go somewhere. So the next one is going to be git push. So it's git space push. And then you can type in space origin. And I'll show that more as we get to VS Code. But with git push origin, then you define the name of the original branch, which is going to be the cloud one. So if we're on the dev branch, I would type in git push origin dev. And those are just pretty much the buzzwords to get you to get that package. There's a label on it, and it's gone to the cloud. It's delivered. And by the time you're like get it so fast, if your Wi-Fi is better than mine, like by the time you're already like trying to like you just on VS Code and you're going to GitHub, it's already on there. Everyone can see it. That's the speed of it. So going here, not showing myself anymore. Let's go ahead and remove this. We have a random, hopefully, I don't know what the background looks like for y'all, but for me, it's a bunch of squiggly lines. And we'll stop sharing the screen of this one. And I will start sharing. Let me just make sure that I don't have anything. I'm not doxing myself or anything. Hopefully not. Everything should be good. But let me stay here, and now we're going to go to entire screen. And now, as you can see, the StreamYard interface. Don't worry about that, though. And here we are on code, right? I have a lot of stuff here. And you can see I literally prompted it. So let's just keep our changes. Excuse me. I'll get rid of this. It's bothering me. A lot of issues here, but don't worry about this. This is just some like VS Code packages that I have in here. Let me just make sure. Just to confirm, exactly. Wow, look at that. And I'm gonna be honest, Dominosaurs, you're right. I forgot. So when on StreamYard, I have to add to stage. Like I have to put what I want y'all to see. I forgot to hit that button. Okay. Y'all are so mean. How old are you? I can't say that. Don't answer that question. I'm not allowed to ask that. But I'm 20, okay? I'm a grown man. And y'all will treat me as such. Okay, I need some water. Ooh, definitely gonna make myself some honey tea later. But okay, here we are. Get remote examples, good examples, and then we already went over these slides. These are the slides that we worked on. As you can see, they're made in HTML, just to see that all that stuff y'all saw is very customizable, very easy to work on things like this. But we'll go to get examples, and then all of these are gonna be markdowns, right? So let me just. It can be very tedious, but let me delete. It always makes like it opens it, and it's very annoying. I'm gonna tell them to fix that. I know the people that worked on this. Brr. Now we're going to use the great feature of GitHub. Sorry, not GitHub, VS Code, but GitHub has a lot of amazing features where we have a first example. Let's open and preview. Look at this. We're gonna make this smaller. Okay, so we have our examples to that. Okay, great. We're on example 1 right now. So this is going to be one of the main things of Git and like starting with it. And this is very important in the sense that it's related to GitHub, because you want to make sure that, okay, high level explanation of this. You need to do these things, like some of these things, not all of them. I already went through it. You don't have to do all of them, but like you need this to give credit to yourself. So you're going to define yourself through Git of like your username. So my name, Iro Escobar, my email, and then like when you do that commit history and you want to make sure like you can show the work that you did it, this is what's going to show like your information of ensuring that this is the person that committed it. That's why when I said that if something breaks and I check the commit history and I call somebody out, this is what keeps that credibility and ensures that people are getting credit where credit is due, or if something breaks, then that's on them. So looking at this, where you can set like your default, you don't have to do all this. This you don't have to do as much. These are the main important things. This is like when you have Git downloaded, which again, we only have 2 hours. So just to make sure, I need to make sure that it's still working on the stream. It'll be so bad. I'm paranoid now. I need to make sure that it works, because if it doesn't, that would be very sad. Excuse me. Okay, so here we are. These are the main steps. This is going to be after you have Git downloaded on your system. And to do so, if you're on a MacBook or Linux, you would use Homebrew, because MacBook does use a Linux system. It's Mac OS. And Homebrew is just a package manager in the sense that it manages things that you download. So that's like downloading coding language to be able to run it on your computer. Docker, being able to have Git, which is very important. You want to have that installed on your machine, so you can use it locally, virtually, like anywhere pretty much on your computer. So looking at this, we are going to see that these are configurations, right? These are very important. These is after you have Git downloaded, which you can get it online. It's free. It's open source. I highly recommend, like, if you don't have it, get it now, especially if you want to work with people. And there's so many tutorials, like people that explain it way better than me, of making sure this happens the correct way. As I had a lot of issues at the beginning where I didn't do this and I didn't get credit where credit is due. So when I was working on stuff, it would never say my name. It would just say a user. And I'm like, I'm the user. Give me my credit. If y'all have any questions, feel free to comment and I will go ahead and keep going back and forth. But now we're going to have over here. And now let's go ahead and where's the open preview? There's a macro for it, but I don't want to do that right now. So if we go over here, basic Git commands, right? And then I'm gonna be honest, y'all, I'm out of water, so I know I'm gonna start coughing a lot. So I'm gonna go through this slide and I'm gonna take a little bit of a water break, which will just I'm just gonna go fill up my water with a Brita. So every Git workflow uses 3 commands, right? And Git status I haven't introduced, but you should already know Git add and Git commit. So with Git status, what that is doing is, remember when I talked about Git add and I said that that's you in the Git add dot, you're adding all the files with that dot, like every file you've changed. Git status lets you see everything that you've changed. Check what's happening. So whatever you've changed, all that, it'll show you what's happening. And then we have examples here, which is fantastic, where you're able to see here Git status. And when you run this is literally what's going to show every time. And then this might change depending on what branch you are on. And there's nothing to commit. Working tree is clean, which means that our tree is working the way we want. And then there's nothing to commit because we've done no changes. So here we're creating a file, right? Echo is just a Unix command. It's something that you can run it everywhere. And all this is another like topic, but oh, what did you do? This is another topic. Oh, it's showing me what I was highlighting. There's another topic, so I won't focus on too much, but all this is doing is just putting hello world into a hello.txt file. If you do Git status, this is what it's going to use, where it's going to say something is untracked, right? We've added something and it's not in the repository or saved yet. And then it's saying you can use git add file, not doing these brackets, you would just do hello.txt, right? But you could also just do that dot. The dot is easier. unless you only want to add specific files, and you can do so. So if you go ahead and go over here, we can see that add more context. We're adding that back into the hello.txt, and then that git status. We'll see that it's modified. So we have like the option to restore it based off of the previous commit, if done so, and then it gives you the options of like understanding what's happening, and if you have any issues, like knowing where to go from there. It's very thorough. Great question, Raven. How do you feel about the GitHub desktop app? I personally don't use it, but I'll say that my okay, sorry, there's a lot of GitHub desktop app. Are you saying like being able to open up GitHub like on the desktop? Like is that like a Windows thing? Or you can probably just like get like because I guess for Mac, what I've done before is like I'll make it something where I can just like click on it. Like I'll click it to make the link something I can just click on my desktop. It's like that what you're talking about? Oh. Is that what we're talking about? But I'll go back to the question. But here we have that git add, right? Where you're git adding. You see how you can just add the file that you want. But you don't have to do this. You can also do this, right? But the easiest way is just git add dot, get all of them. And then a lot of commands here, you don't have to worry about it too much. Like it's not these are all things, but like these get complicated. And if you add modified files, but not the new ones, then the new ones will be unstaged and you'll just have to deal with them again, even when you try to commit. It'll just make it super annoying, like trying to do all that, right? So then adding these files, doing the git status. Wow, this is long. Oh my. Okay, let's just scroll down to the big stuff. So first commit, right? We do this, we're putting into a README, we're adding it, and then we're committing that, right? And then you can have commits and all that, and you can keep committing and doing things like this. I would not do this. What is this doing? There's multiple commit examples, right? But there's a big step happening in the middle of this, and that's that you're pushing it to the cloud repository. So things like this is great. This is great practice. I always say, always hit a git status in between everything. It never hurts. Even when I'm on a random repository, I always just type git status because you want to make sure you understand what exactly is happening. So you can see like what's going on and being able to mess with it. And like you can see this will just explain more and more to you. And then we have a lot of different commands. Oh, excuse me. A lot of different commands, but you see at the top are the ones that are actually get used. Git add dot, git dash m message, and so much like this. So let me see. Did Raven respond with the question? You have a GUI app. Oh, like a no. Okay. Another main point. No, we are not using that. We always go through terminal. Always go through terminal. Terminal is way better. Like, okay, if you type in like your command or control and then you do the little back tick, not the back tick, what is this called? It is like top left of your keyboard, but if you type it and like you're on it, it brings up your it's control. So if you do this, you can bring up this, and I can go like I don't have this connected to repository, so it's of course it's gonna say that. It's like git add dot, and I can type and I can do whatever manipulation I want here. I can bring commands back, right? And like I can do all this. Also, this is very side tangent. Oh, this is important. This emphasizes the importance of terminal. This is a terminal thing that I downloaded on GitHub. It's open source, and this allows me to download YouTube videos for free. So I don't have to have YouTube Premium. And I highly recommend getting this if you want to have YouTube videos if you ever go on a flight, because I download them through terminal on my computer locally and then store them on a folder, and then I'm able to just watch them for free on any plane, and no ads. It's even better like that. It's so many benefits, and you see that there's so many ways you can work through terminal, and there's even like you can do vibe coding here too with going like Claude code. Terminal is just great. I love terminal. I love terminal. Terminal is fantastic. Please, if you can, stick to terminal. That's like my advice. Terminal will help you so much, and like if you're able to use this properly. I have friends that only code in terminal, and they're cracked. Like they're very good at what they do. Okay, let's open this preview. just to see what's on here. But then you can literally command like I'm bringing it back and forth as fast as I want, and like instead of going like another example of like it's not. I don't think it's the exact same what you're talking about. But if I had a repository here, I could do source control out through here. But why would I do that if I can terminal it? Love terminal. That's from personal experience though. I guess I'll take the time to say if you really wanted to, you could use the other one, but these are going to be some commands. Again, some more Unix commands. CD is just to check into pretty much like a specific directory, and make mkdir is just make directory. These are its own separate things, but you're just making a folder for it, and you're initializing Git to be able to do that, and then you're adding a path for the repository. You don't have to do it like this. You can do it with cloud, and then when let's see if I can. Let's see. Let me. I will. I will take the extra effort to do this. Let me stop sharing my screen. Let me share my screen again to go back to my GitHub. Excuse me. So sorry. Yeah, I'm about to take that water break, y'all. I'm gonna go get some water, but I'll show y'all after. I'm gonna get that water before I keep talking. So be right back. I will show y'all something cool. I'm back. I went as fast as I could. Hope I didn't keep y'all waiting too long. Yeah, it took like 2 minutes, right? Pretty fast for a grandpa, I'd say. Okay, all right. Calm, cool, refreshed. No, welcome to you. Yes, I'm very fast. Okay. Whew. Okay. Resituating myself. Adam, you come back and now, yes, I'm a grandpa. So Dominosaurus said, "Take your time, Grandpa." When I was trying to switch my code to VS Code, and made fun of me and hurt my feelings, but it's okay. I'm tough. Toughness here. See that? Pure muscle. Pure muscle. I'm the strongest. I can outbench everybody here. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh crap! I'm not sharing my screen. Oh no. Okay, wait. Let me not share it just yet. Okay. Okay, screen is sharing, but I'm not showing y'all that yet. Let me, okay, perfect. I'm exactly where I want to be. At the stage, here we are, looking at this. I thought it was Unk, but if you're grandpa, what does that make me? Like a super grandpa, low key? You're not that much older than me though, are you? I'm like 2 years older now. Yeah, keep in mind, y'all, I'm only 20. A baby's already like an adult if you really think about it with that time frame. But looking here, we were talking earlier about how when doing that git init and connecting it all through a repository, you can do that in terminal. And of course, I'm a person that advocates for terminal. And then, but with that, if you do it from the cloud, like I showed y'all the process already of how to create it, you can look back when the YouTube video publishes. But if you just hit code here and you copy this, you can just copy and paste this onto VS Code, and like you'll copy this, and then you can go to VS Code at the top when you have no folders open, and it'll just recognize it and be like, "Do you want to clone this repository?" And duh, I want to clone it. Why else would I give you the link? And that's what allows you to do that. Oh, Raven, I'm sorry. No, no. Blame. Let's all blame Domin Dominosaurs. That's their fault. No, we're all young at heart, always. Doesn't matter how old you are, we're all young. Blame, make fun of Dominosaurs. They were just being a meanie. But even then, even I must teach a meanie. I must continue doing my duty. So now I must stop sharing my screen, and now I'm going to share my entire screen. And now let's go ahead and get this back up. We're about 1 hour 15 minutes, so we have about 45 minutes left. Good timing, good timing. Since now we're on here, and looking here, this is the stuff I was talking about. Unix, all that. Yeah, this is all Unix. This is just listing the items and doing all of that, right? And the hidden ones is just because you have that A on there. So like that, hidden ones would be your .git files, right, and things like that, where spinning it in there so you can use it and do that version control. And then these are going to be some extra things. We already talked about configuration, where you can configure your personal stuff as well as a repository. We don't have to worry about it too much. Oops. And then there's references, which stores brand. You don't have to worry about this too much. This is not. It's not that it's important, but in the sense that I don't want to go over it because it's a lot. Plus, it's you don't need it to be able to code. Like you're not gonna get paid to like explain these things. You know what I mean? And then you can do all this stuff. This is all like stuff you don't really have to worry about, right? So that's enough with example 2. Now example 3. Oh, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Cancel. Okay, open preview. Okay, what do we have here? The 3 states of Git. Okay, great. Let's see what this is. I made these, y'all, and like I have a generally decent knowledge of Git and GitHub working together. And with that, I'm going with the fly here and like explaining my knowledge with what generally should be taught. So we've already seen this make. Ignore these. We don't have to worry about these right now. If we do it on the cloud. Oh my goodness, that's gonna get very annoying. I'm gonna try to highlight, but I'm just gonna start scrolling and seeing if I can find a git push everything. So the repository, yeah, this is all just stuff where if you're doing it all internally, you don't have to worry about this one too much. I wouldn't stress on it because we've already done everything that you have to do here is just combining all the stuff we've been learning. So now if we go to open preview, yes, oh, fantastic. This is very important. Are y'all saying anything? Look, dinosaurs is being mean. It's okay, y'all. The power is ignored. What I don't remember the what is the quote? The quote is like sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. Oh yeah, that's tough. That's so tough right there. So let me just make sure. Can y'all see my screen? Fantastic. I got terrified you wouldn't be able to. Okay. Mm. Okay. So why commit messages matter? They're very important because if you're working on a team, that communication aspect is that there is a chance that one day you're working on a team where, let's say me, you're working with me, right? You are wherever you are. I'm in New York. We're working with somebody from Hong Kong. We have somebody from India. We have somebody from Europe. Imagine having a team of just international developers, right? You want to make sure that if you're knocked out and sleeping and this person wide awake, it's 9 a.m., they're ready to go, and they see, hey, you committed stuff. Let's see what they need to bring on. Excuse me. And you just put on like literally fixed everything. Well, there's no way you did, right? And it's gonna be like, why would you commit that? And then if you just type in like bruh, I'm the goat. Like, imagine like I am the goat, but also that'll be very annoying to deal with. So that's a main example of doing it. But good commit messages. Let's just go through the bullet points. Help the team understand changes, make debugging easier, create searchable history, and that professionalism. That's the moneymaker. And then bad commit messages. Excuse me. I get a good cough in there. That waste time part. Let's just start giving examples to these real quick examples. So waste time. The person I'm gonna have to contact you and you're like super asleep because you're not in New York because New York time zone. But like I'm gonna have to contact you and wait for you to respond and not be able to work on it until the next day because I don't want to do something that would break it, right? Or spend hours trying to figure out what your code is doing in a huge repository. And then yeah, confuse team members, make debugging hard because you don't know what's happening when you're doing version control, and you just don't. People are gonna hate you. You're like, I, why would you commit like this? Aw, poor Adam. L's in the chat for Adam. Can I talk like that? L's in the chat for Adam. Golden rule. You've applied, this commit will, yada yada. Do whatever it needs to do, right? Don't do yada yada. But okay, don't do if applied though. Don't actually type this. Just say what you're doing. Like you'll be able to go as you want. But this is like the adding features and stuff. But like instead of this, I'd be like user authentication completed for sign off or for sign on and sign off logic, and then like the next commit would be like completed for login and log off, and then like combining them together to have a like workflow of if there's a new user, like being able to rotate them around and make sure to get them to the right page to make an account. And look at this, bro. It's so bad. If applied, this commit will update stuff, bruh. It's not gonna do nothing, right? But we pretty much covered. Oh my goodness, there's so many. But we really covered like the main importance of it. Of like we want to make sure we're detailed with what we do, and then there's something called like Prettify, which will make you like force you to like do these. It'll. Oh my gosh, I am cooking with like the transitions, but it'll make you pick one of these, and then like based off of that, how you're gonna describe the commit. And it helps with like handling like large you want them to be that thorough when it's like a large repository and doing all of that, but that I hate Prettify. Like super annoying, right? Thank you, Press. I appreciate that L in the chat. It's singular. If I'm not boring y'all too much, I'm like yapping over here, and y'all are just like knocked out. But over here, no imperative mood. Keep it straight, keep it nice. It's all pretty self-explanatory. Like you want to keep it nice, clean, and just get your point across, right? And like you don't have to like look this capitalized first letter just to give y'all like not having to do a headache. If you don't do that in like that prettier thing, it'll let you like go to the end, but then it'll say like error because you didn't capitalize it. So you always just capitalize the first letter. Just do it. And then real world example of like you see this all like going out together, like doing all of this, and we'll see that looks great. It looks a lot more manageable. But yeah, that was pretty much that. That was it for that one. So now if we go over here, get remote, go away. On to our last example. I'm gonna have to cut a little bit short, y'all. I'm almost at my info. We have way like wait, let me start like closing these. But we have about no, well, we're perfect. We're 10 didn't finish. Hold on, let's see why. Finish the last one, please. Always be nice to your dad. Okay. A little bit of a sidetrack there. So in case we're able to get to the end, that would be great if we get to the end. But if we go over here, now we open preview. Here we go. Get checkout and restore, right? Okay. These are gonna be two things that are pretty important. Get checkout is a multi-purpose command that lets you do a lot of things. And the main ones are it's really this, right? It's this. And I'll even say here before I start scrolling down, but when we talked about that dash M in commit, that dash thing has a lot of options. So when you're doing a get checkout, you can do get checkout dash B, which would create a new branch. And if you don't add a dash, get checkout, and you type in the name of that branch, then it'll just go to that branch if it exists. If not, it'll get an error. But again, I forgot. For get checkout dash B, after that, you type the name of it. And whatever you type, if not existing, it will just create that branch for you. That's what that dash B is. Oh, got me stuttering. And here we go with this. There's a lot of options. And then the get restore, logically, it's you break something, you can restore it back to another version. So you're bringing back and you're using that commit history to do what you want for it. So let's see this. Unwanted changes to a file, right? Get status, we see that it modified it. So we see that we didn't want to do what we just did, right? We just did this, right? Get restore that file means you can simplify it to just doing a specific file, but you can even get this to do like a repository logically. And sharing multiple files, right? Get restore all of them. Like that's my transitions are D1 right now because this is the whole repository pretty much where everything you change, you're going back. And an old syntax, you can get check out a specific one. And then there's gonna be a lot of examples. You're not gonna be able to pick up everything now of like how much syntax I'm showing you and how many examples, but just know that like the general idea that they exist. There's a way to do it. That Git allows you to do these things, and that's the beauty of it. And then you can utilize it in the future as you keep learning and utilizing its language to advance your own knowledge. Oh yeah. No no no. Oh, hello, Abu Koi. Sorry if I even butchered that. But okay, to answer Nana Wana's question, yes, as soon as this stream is over, it's gonna publish on YouTube and you can hear my voice over and over again. Would not recommend it. I can get very annoying, but you'll be able to go ahead and also one thing, I'm just curious. I'm gonna pause here real quick. Can y'all hear like like a tiny bit of music in the background? Like, is that something y'all can hear? Guys, realize I usually take out the background music, but I did not. Is that like 9 volume? Can y'all hear that? That's just curiosity. I'll leave it in just in case somebody wants it. Yes, good music. I'm hearing the music a little bit. Okay, so it's like I'm so much of a yapper where like you can't even pick it up, but it's there. So let me go ahead and okay. Do we want to keep it? Do we want it? Let me get some yeses and no. Yes, we keep it. No, we don't. As we're in this mid part. Keep it. Okay, we got to keep it. Do we have any more no's on it? Anything like that? If there's no more responses, then I'm going to make sure it stays all good. All right, then we'll keep it for a little bit of noise in the background, just in case I ever stop talking. All right. When I'm quiet, yeah. See, so you can. Okay, so it is possible. Yes. I guess the goal is I just got to keep yapping. All right. So going back, let me bring back. Where was I? Okay, I was here, right? And then doing this the always a lot of syntax for it, a lot of examples and things that you can use. And like I'm not gonna go so much as emphasizing like every single thing because you're gonna have to do this one day and you're gonna learn it. And it's not gonna be something that's like with like GitHub Copilot, like if I let it do its thing, right? Okay, well, can I make a new chat? I can, right? Okay, wonderful, right? Like this is just showing a very high level thing where I can be like, hey, and I have it in angel mode, so I'll just have an ask because I'm asking it a question. But hey, I I forgot how to, so don't do it for me. But can you show me the 3 basic steps to push my code to a cloud repository. And then you can do this for anything. Like, okay, I want to unstate something or my commit is broken. Like you can leverage AI and just having the context of your project. We're gonna see that it's git add dot, the one I talked about, git commit dash m, git push, and then git push the origin main, right? You can also do this dash u. It's not required. It's for the modified stuff, but the git push origin main. Oh, this is great. See exactly how you're able to just search it up and do that. Now I'm gonna be right back because I just realized that I think I got a package. One moment, one moment. So sorry about the wait, y'all. It's so funny that when I'm like fully ready here and like attentive, like I don't have anything going on outside, I my Wi-Fi destroys and I keep cutting out. But when I'm like Wi-Fi's great and there's no issues, then like all of a sudden I'm like getting like I'm at an apartment right now that I'm renting and the package wasn't for me, but it was when you like buzz in, it just starts going like rant, 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 and I'm like, oh, it's buzzing. Might as well go check it out since I don't know if anyone else can do it. But false alarm, we're all good. No package for me. So here we are. I was showing this. I can see yourselves. Little interface, and now let's make sure this is here. Well, this is here. So then here we are, and we're able to show that this is able to do the thing that you want, and you can leverage it. Let me just make sure y'all can hear me right. I'm not muted. I'm muted. No, I'm not. Great. Okay, wonderful. So here we are with this. We are going to go ahead and, oh, it added more stuff. And see, it does its job. Great. And then it does like the one file, multiple files, and then the way that you should do it. Something like that. Which I think is very funny. But oh my gosh, speak of the devil. Now I'm out of tissues, y'all. You won't believe it. Okay, one moment. I want to blow my nose real quick, but we are back onto this. Okay, let's actually make some progress. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Just going on this, checking out previous commits. We're able to do with a detached head. And a lot of these different examples, like node package module, this is with JavaScript. It won't always be like this. There, you could do Python, so you do a Python library. This is just one specific example. And then you can use git log to be able to check specific things. And then the dash commands are to do certain functions. And the git checkout main is going specifically to a branch. So let's find one, hopefully an easy one. So discarding versus restoring, right? This is stuff that you don't have to focus on too much unless you're working like on a production level thing with industry. But let's say if we're focusing on that hackathon example, you don't really have to worry about this stuff too much, like the logging and doing all of that. But if you're working on a repository that hundreds of people are using, oops, you want to make sure that you're following things like this to make sure that you keep a clean tree. Because as you mentioned in the first example, yes, I am going to take the effort to open the preview. Look at not this one. Go away. What? Not what I wanted. But sigh, if I must. That's where I was. Nope. Well, we'll go back to here, but pretty much what I was saying is that when you at the beginning when you had like no issues, it would even tell you working tree clean. You want to make sure you maintain that working tree to be clean. Checking, I didn't lag out. Okay, great, great. Look at all the comments, y'all. We're so communicative. Fantastic. All right, sip of water. So he's looking at this. I have it all like defined here and like being able to share this. This video will stay public. And then while I'm here, I can't see y'all, but I just want to make sure. Can I get some responses on that y'all are able to sign into the MLH checkout, the checking in thing? It's through like our actual website, and you can get points for it as being a loyal MLH community participator. Use some like yeses if you was able to, no's if not. Because if it's no, then I would love to be able to share the link again so you could sign up and get those points. And then this like get reset, right? I'm not gonna talk so much on the get reset. I'm gonna talk about this, right? It's hard, and like the other one I believe is called force. Typically, you always want to avoid forcing something. There's usually a workaround, so I'd always recommend never using a force unless like specifically instructed so, or like it's the only option. Usually, it's never not. There's definitely other ways around it, but what or if you understand the project and you really learn it well, you can use Git force if you know what you know the powers and implications that it does, plus what it would do to your project. Because Git force pretty much what force does and or like hard, like it's mostly force, but what these two commands can really do is that you're pretty much okay, let's throw away the rule book of regulations and like what the proper follow is and just force this command to run and it'll work because or it'll it's not that it'll work like fix things but it'll do whatever you force it to do because it's in the name and you don't want to do that because once you force it it's annoying to reverse back because you're literally forcing change instead of just like going through it the normal way. So we'll have over here, and then this like moves head part is when I talked earlier about like detaching and attaching. The head is usually like when you're on like it's in this picture. When you have a working tree, you're going up over here and you're doing all this. So if you haven't, there's thousands of examples, but I won't focus too much on that. But the sense that if you ever have your head detached, you're going away from the tree, and then if something is breaking, and you're in its own separate little virtual environment, which would be something like a merge conflict, right? Where you're solving that and then going back into the tree to try and fix it. And I know this is very like, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but this is like an example of it where it's going out and then you're able to, like, you can see it going out and the thing that I clicked and then possible to go back in, but the logo is, of course, not going to do that. And then we see here which ones can like Git checkout can sometimes move the head like reran if you move to a head that's detached, you can do that. So that's why it'll say that, or it's like moving it, something like that. And then if you get reset is to undo commits. Get resets is powerful too. Definitely good use. These are very powerful for doing that, maintaining and making sure you're doing the right thing. All right. Oh, I'm gonna source. Okay, wonderful. Oh, thank you, Brad. Oh, doing my job. So nice. Wonderful. Oh, great, great. Okay, great, great, great. Thank you so much. Let me know if it works. If not, I can just send like the like direct link. I don't know how it works. I can even pull it up. Whatever works. Just as long as you're able to. And then common mistakes, you accidentally disregard something, and then the way you can prevent it is you can do git stash. So git stashing something, this is another command I haven't talked about too much, but stashing it is like committing it without having to push it. So if I have code that I worked on, okay, let's excuse me. Let's bring myself back here, right? Okay, we're I actually had one more in me for a like hands-on example. Let me get a little stretching. Oh, you don't like my shirt? Hey, don't worry. I'm not. The people that were here before, I'm not dirty. I'm not like wearing the same shirt. I get three shirts, so I have multiple shirts for the streaming days or whenever I'm out on an event in case one gets dirty, something like that. It's not the same shirt. I just have multiple. Let's say this. I'm clean. So, with that, we're gonna talk about Git Stash real quick and what that does. Also, now I'm thinking about it. Cecilia's gonna run a workshop right after this about getting good with Git. Y'all let me know if you ever see me stream again. Let me know if you did better than me. So with this, Git stash is okay. I'm working on my computer. I'm working on stuff, but I'm working. Let's do a hackathon group, right? I'm working on my things. I'm doing all that, and then oh no, my friend is on the same branch that I'm on, and they've already pushed their code, right? And that code is already on the repository, but I'm working on the old version. So now we're in a situation where I was here on the tree, right? And I'm working on this level, and everyone else is here now because there was an update to it. So now I need to get there, but I can't push my code because I'm pushing on an old version. It would work. This is a perfect example where the head would detach and very annoying to deal with. The whole thing, but the best way to avoid it, get stash. So that let's just say this is the code that I'm working on doing all that, and we need to get up here, and we'll use my head. So here, and we need to get up here, right? This is where now the new stuff is with the tree going up, and with that, we're gonna get stash the code that we've done. So what that does is it puts it in a separate area, so that you're like boxing it up, right? And you're not gonna have to push it, right? Because if you just do regular git commits and do all that, you have to push that code. That's the purpose of those three commands to work together. Excuse me. But if you do that git stash, it goes on the side, so then you're able to just go ahead and stash that code. This is an example. There's multiple ways to stash. This is just one that I know very well because I've done it before. Is moving up, and then you're now. So we've stashed it. We've gotten that established, and now we're going ahead and now pulling from the original repository. So we're doing git pull origin main. So we're pulling the code if we're all in the main branch. Usually not, but let's say we are. And now we pull that code. So that means that we pull that code. So that's put us here. We're now here. We're on this level. So now with git stash, now you have that on the side. So even now, I'll literally just show you, like, in case you have any questions or something you want to do. Like, I know it, but let me go through the steps, right? Let me see if it knows it too. So we get here. Okay, I need another example. Let's say I git stash something, did the stuff I wanted to do, which was proper. Had a little hand there. Now, how do I unstash? And you'll see you don't have to ask this directly in Copilot. You can do this in other ways, but we see that you have multiple options. But of course, the main thing is just going to be you pop it, right? Is like you apply it and then keep the stash, but you're going to pop it and get on. Multiple ways to do it. This actually, I've never done this one, but clearly you see there's an option to do it. So for a specific stash, but you see how it can be very, very thorough in explaining what's happening and allowing you to understand what you're working on. Oh my gosh, am I not sharing my screen? I am, right? Oh, I'm scaring myself. But get stash pop. Boom. Did what we want. Looking great. I'm happy. And now if we go over here, we're gonna probably, I don't think I've opened this because we've done the other ones. I don't think we've talked about this. Yeah, so you see how there's our so you see how we have this is another part where, just to re-emphasize what I was talking about, hard commands and force dash dash force or dash dash hard are dangerous commands because they override everything. They're like, okay, you really want to do this, and you do a lot of stuff on it. It's gonna be dangerous stuff. And there's a lot of examples here, and we can go over one. So combine, let's just stick to the simple stuff. We're about running out of time. Not running out, but want to make sure I leave time for the next person, as well as probably enough a bit early, just to make sure I don't give too much information, since the next stream is literally going to be going over these things. So with that, we are going to have our setup where we're going to do the echo. We already know this Unix stuff, I don't have to worry about it. We're committing a message where, oops, there was a typo, right? Typo in this message, not what we wanted. So we're going to type in this command where we're able to see oops typo message. And then softly, we're going to reset it, go back so as if this never happened. And then we're going to do git status to see that we can still do it. We're just like reversing time logically, where we're just fixing, like redoing what we did. And that's a soft version of it. It's one thing on it. And then you'll be able to do it softly still, even with working with multiple files. And of course, like if you're doing multiple commits, you would push every single time if it works. But you don't do this. You commit all at once or you don't, because like you can do separate commits, but I just want to recommend it. Like, yeah, instead, you would rather those separate commits be separate features. You just want to make sure that you keep a clean format. And if you can do something logically with like one commit where it makes sense, don't split it up into like 10 commits because it's just a lot of effort for what. As well as for those people, like, to give an example, there's some people like I talk about that active repository, and like there's people that have like thousands of commits on their thing. Nobody like no actual developer would commit that much. Like you should be making substantial progress on every single commit. And if like they're like committing like every line when they do that. So it's to try to make them look better. It's not like 50 commits a day is not theoretically possible in the sense of like making genuine progress and like doing that. You'd have to be working like 15 hours every day if you were making genuine progress. So just a little tangent in case you see someone with like 10,000 commits. Okay, no things on it. Okay, so Lila the King asked the question. Let's bring this up and let me bring myself here and then let's bring your question. Okay, in the case you give before others push to our current working branch. Okay, so with that git stash and git rebase, yes, technically that's fantastic. You're giving another example. I haven't done it as much like that, and excuse me. I know we're talking about like that rebasing. It's another way that you can do it, and it's in the sense that there is so many different scenarios in the world and in code, and so many like people that you deal with where you're gonna understand in the moment what's the best way to do it. And if rebasing is that, like being able to like, because when you have rebasing, that goes into like you can do false, you can do true, you can force there, and it's like you really have to you want to make sure like that git stashing is the basic version of it. But if you're working on doing with rebase, you'll see like when you type it out, it's literally going to tell you which one do you want, false, true, or like the force, or like what you want to do for it. And that's when it gets a little complicated if you don't know exactly what it's doing. So I really emphasize like I can there's not like a main example I can think of right now for it, but definitely if you're gonna do it like that, make sure that you understand what's happening in each one, like the false or true, because like it's a boolean true or false of what it does of the rebase or not, but it's also like what that's gonna do in terms of your tree for your repository. So hopefully I was able to answer your question. You can. There's examples where you can. Like it's definitely a way to do it. Depends on the scenario, of course. And now I have another question. Thank you, Lily, for that. That was a great question, by the way. And then we have another great question here. What's the best range of commits per day? So that's going to be dependent on what you're working on, right? So I said that 50 commits is not really feasible. That's very high up there. But I would be able to justify one commit, and I'd also be able to justify 30 commits. Because let's say you are a front-end developer, you're working on a new website, and you are starting from scratch, complete scratch. So that alone is you're going to initialize the repository, you're going to push that. You're going to go ahead and make some changes and like set up your file structure. That's a push. You're going to start doing some routing and like making sure all the pages, like blank pages, route to each other. That's another push. You're going to add basic logic to each page, like what it's for and like the buttons it's going to need. That's another push. And that with an experienced front-end developer would probably take about 30 minutes, and that's 4 commits right there. So when taking into account something like that, a front end usually is a lot faster than back end in terms of examples of like working on things, but also you can give a back end example like setting up one pipeline, setting up the SQL database, and then getting that on a repository connected with an API, and then going on to be able to like pass it on to other people and have it shared like that. There's multiple examples for either or, but I'm just sticking to like a side. So if we did front end, right, another commit for one day could be like this website has for some reason like a overflow somewhere, but it's a thousand like each full file has 1,000 lines of code on it. It's a gigantic repository with like thousands of pages, like Wikipedia or something. Wikipedia, that's a whole different thing of like how it's structured and all that. But having all of that you're trying to fix a bug, right? And then you're gonna commit when you fix that bug. It can take you 8 hours to find it. Like having to learn documentation of how this website works, having to see what each part is doing if you're completely new to it, and then you figure out the issue. And it's usually not going to be a simple issue if it's something like that where you have overflow and you're trying to figure it out. So you're gonna have to refactor everything, and then refactoring is going to take a lot of effort. But if you're able to do it all, that's a lot of line changes. That's one commit where you fix the issue, you fix the overflow issue. No. I don't know acronyms. What's TIL? TIL? I don't know. I'm gonna say I'm old. What is TIL? TIL about using it stash. There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways to do the same thing in Git. There's so many ways you could. There's so many ways, like of multiple different things. You have a lot of different options. I just gave like a super basic one of having to do something. And hopefully, I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I try that one day and it just doesn't work. If it doesn't, then I'll do rebase, something like that. Like I don't have rebase, so it's just depending on whatever you need for the moment. So something like that. Really, that's great. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Today I learned. Did y'all was I able to teach y'all anything? If y'all could please so kindly comment. Is there anything like y'all can take away from this? Because sometimes when I do these, I'm literally just like having a huge topic, which there's so much to cover, like gigantic topic that you teach entire courses on, entire college courses on, and I have 2 hours to give as much as I can as a resource, right? Grandpa's just hating. Grandpa's just hating. You like grandpa. Sure, sure. You learned. What'd you learn? Nah, I'm turning it to the audience now. What did we learn? Anything specific? I'll follow you back, Chris. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and look at that right after. Oh, all right. Well, I'll take the rest of this time. Honestly, like we've gone over like again, this is an intro to GitHub. So a lot of the teaching that I did was Git, but if you're able to use it, then you can go on GitHub. And then to go ahead and back on the points that we were talking about, we have the GitHub Student Developer Pack. Great resource, provides thousands of dollars worth of free stuff. I recommend it. They also like GitHub in itself has a lot of YouTube videos for things like this, like learning. There's so many videos out there of tutorials of really understanding it because the better you get it, the better you can work on a team. And another thing to emphasize while I'm here is that communication is really important in the world. Like if it doesn't matter what scenario you're in, like you should be able to talk to somebody, and whether that's through code with your Git repositories, and that's offline where like you're not constantly like online with somebody talking, or online where you're constantly talking to somebody and figuring things out. Collaboration is very important. That's what makes progress in the world. We as a society are not individual people. Like we work together to make things that like think about it. Somebody made StreamYard to be able to do that. I existed to be able to help run this stream. I have higher ups that hired me to be able to get me here. There's also MLH as a company when it was founded. There's so many different things, but we're all connected in that sense where we all work together to just grow as a society. And this is a one each topic where we're one industry, we're software engineering, coding, and maybe you're looking at this and it's not a specific like it's one topic. It's Git. It's Git and GitHub, and they work together. But it can get so much more massive than that. And it's fantastic if you really think about it, about being able to leverage it and use communication and being able to do that through code as well as or with your mouth, pretty much to go out there and grow as a software developer. And the reason I emphasize that software developer part is because these are the main tools that they have to use. And it's like a warrior with their like knight and shield, I said knight and shield, with their sword and shield. Those are their tools to be able to do that. And when I'm a software developer, my things are doing my laptop, which I'm on right now to show y'all, and also Git as an example of one of my tools to be able to communicate with people. And then GitHub is going to be that platform to do all of that communication. So with Petty here, I had a fantastic time. Thank y'all so much. Honestly, I feel better being here, like talking to y'all, even if it makes me cough a little bit. It's so much fun being able to run this stream. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. To the loyal viewers, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And if there's any final questions, I'll stay for a couple more minutes just to make sure that we're good. And if there's anything I can do, do let me know. Oh, thank you for saying, Adam. I appreciate that. Yeah. Bye. I won't leave just yet, just in case there's a final question. Because I remember last time I got asked a question and I was not able to answer it because my Wi-Fi cut out. Not my fault. But now I want to make sure I leave a couple minutes for that. So, little one knows real quick on a tissue. So I'll wait till about 1 more minute. No, thank y'all. Y'all are fantastic. Okay, so real quick, if I'm allowed to, let me see. I'm searching up if there is a feedback form. Meh, there's not. Oh well, but if y'all ever see a like global hack week, there should be like um a a like forum for like the things like that. Hey, shout me out. And if I did bad, I did bad. Just let me know because what would happen is they'll tell me I did a good job, or they'll say, "Hey, can you improve in this?" And if you don't want to say that to me directly, totally fine. No pressure on that. Just making sure that we're able to improve the experience and do things where we're able to help each other out. Because if I'm able to be a better mentor and teacher to teach y'all, then y'all are able to pick up more information and learn. And it's just a win-win. We want to lift each other up. So, oh, there is one. What? Quackers, so locked in. Ah, bonus points to you. MLH points. I don't know if I'm allowed to give those. But yes, you have a great night. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody being here. I really appreciate it. Well, Quackers has attached the GitHub form. I did not know that. See, I'm out of the loop. I'm no. This is just further emphasizing that I look like an I don't know my things. But leave if you put some feedback and no pressure on it, but ways I can improve, things that you enjoyed, and then that'll really help me in knowing like, okay, I did this bad. Just make sure to avoid that. Like maybe history. I did too much history. Then I'll focus on just as soon as I'm in, I'll be like, all right, let's get to the nitty and gritty. We are now gonna start immediately coding. All right. So I'll give a couple 1 more minute just for the form since now it exists that I know it's real. And then probably end off the stream in like 30 seconds or something like that. Just call it a little goodbye because I think this is gonna be my last stream for the month where I'm just not scheduled and that's totally fine. But I had so much fun being here. It was great to talk to all of y'all. Genuinely, really enjoyed it. Also reconnect with Adam. I haven't talked with Adam in a while, so it was great to see that. So yeah, it's gonna have fun. So thank you all so much. This has been intro to GitHub. I will make the last recording, but I hope to see you in the next what it's called what is it called I hope to see you in the next month where there's going to be a new theme and I can teach most of them. So hopefully the next theme will be something fun and I can run some really cool workshops. I like teaching things, but lah, let it be known I'm the goat. I'm the goat. I'm one of the greats. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and y'all have a fantastic night or day, depending on what time it is for you. And if it's like late or super early for you, I really appreciate you tuning in. That means a lot. So I'll cut off here. You have a fantastic time. Thank you so much. I'm not answering. You know who you are. Whoever just called me that. I'm not replying to that. Okay. All right. Well, you have a great night. Okay. Be safe. Bye.